Okay, this lesson should be pretty quick and easy for you guys, actually, because this is stuff you did in 8th grade. We introduced this. You're going to be graphing using slope-intercept form. Do you guys remember what slope-intercept form is? What is it?
Y equals mx plus b.
Exactly. Y equals mx plus b. You see in the key concept, it goes over it. Remember that m stands for slope, and b stands for the y-intercept. When I say y-intercept, what does that mean? When it crosses the y-line. That's exactly it. So when you hear y-intercept, you got to think, okay, here's my y-line, and this is where it's the line that I'm sketching crosses it. Very simple. So what you're going to start off doing is identifying slope and y-intercept, and then we're going to be graphing them. So let's do it. Example 1, put this in your journals. We are going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So our first equation is y equals 3x plus 4. So what's my slope? So you can say m equals, it's just the number. M equals 3. And what's my y-intercept?
4.
Done. So B, we have 3x plus y equals 2. Is this in slope-intercept form?
No.
No, so we need to do that first. How do we get the y by itself? Subtract the 3x. So then I'm left with y equals negative 3x plus 2. Now it's in slope-intercept form, so I can identify what is my slope? Negative 3. And what's my y-intercept? 2. How come I put it into slope-intercept form before I labeled? It prevents you from putting the wrong sign. If I had just looked at the original equation and said, well, there's my slope, there's my y-intercept, the likelihood of me saying a positive 3 for the slope is pretty strong. But if you put it in slope-intercept form, you'll realize that the slope is actually a negative 3. So always solve it for slope-intercept form, and then you can identify slope and y-intercept. So let's do a couple extra practice. You can choose whether you're going to put these in the journal. These are the guided practice. Y equals 5x minus 3. What's my slope?
5.
And what's my y-intercept?
Negative 3.
Negative 3, very good. What if I have x plus 4y equals 6? I need to do what?
Subtract the x.
We solve for slope, so we're subtracting the x. So I have 4y equals negative x plus 6. Am I done?
You gotta divide.
That's right. We've got to divide by the 4. So then I'm left with y equals negative 1/4 x plus 6 over 4 reduced would be 3 over 2.
Yeah.
So then what's my slope?
Negative 1/4.
Negative 1/4. And my y-intercept
3 over 2.
is 3 over 2. Just because it's a fraction, you can still do it. Any questions on how to do those? Wonderful. All right, so now example 2, we're going to graph. We're going to graph the equation 2x plus y equals 3. So when I'm going to graph, what is my first step?
You try to find the y first?
Yeah, but so the easiest thing is to put it into slope-intercept form first, right?
Yes, minus 2.
So minus 2x from both sides. So I get y equals negative 2x plus 3. Now I can graph it very easily. What's my y-intercept? So 1, 2, 3, put a dot. What's my slope? So I go down 2 over 1. And graphed. That's it. All right, let's look at example 3. This is a modeling a real world problem. Escalators. To get from one floor to another at a library, you can take either the stairs or the escalator. You can climb the stairs at a rate of 1.75 feet per second, and the escalator rises at a rate of 2 feet per second. You have to travel a vertical distance of 28 feet. The equations model them. So the stairs equation is the distance equals negative 1.75 t plus 28. And the escalator is d equals negative 2t plus 28. Graph the equations in the same coordinate plane, and then how much time do you save by taking the escalator? Okay, so we're going to graph both of those equations. So I'm going to go to the next page. 28, very good. Negative 1.75. Grab a graph. Okay. Excuse me. So my first equation, what is my y-intercept? So I'm going to do this by, let's just do it by fives. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28 is about right in there. And then what's my slope? So I'm going to go down a hole from where I'm at, and then another 3/4. Actually, let's make that a fraction. I think that'd be a little bit easier. So 1 3/4, which would be 4, 5, 6, 7 over 4. So then down 7 is at, and then over 4. So it's going to be right in there. Then I'm going to graph it. And technically I can't go past this line because you can't go into 0. So then the other one was also at 28, the y-intercept, right? And then my slope on that one was what? Negative 2. So down 2 over 1, so it's going to be slightly over to the right. And if you graph that one, if I could draw perfectly, I would. But you see that one is a slightly shorter line than the other. To find out the intercept for this, the x is talking about time. The y is talking about distance. So if you solve for the t-intercept, then you would be able to see how long it actually took. So let's do that algebraically. So our first equation was d equals negative 1.75 t plus 28. Now when I want to solve for one intercept, what do I plug in for the other letter? If I want to solve for t, what do I plug in for the d? 0. Perfect. So I put 0 equals 1.75 t plus 28. Now I'll just solve. So minus 28. So I have negative 28 equals 1.75 t, negative 1.75. And then I just divide by negative 1.75. What's 28 divided by negative 1.75? Negative divided by negative is a positive. 28 divided by 1.75, you should get 16. So that's if we were to take the stairs. Now let's see what it would be if we take the escalator. So again, I write my equation. I'm solving for t, so I'm going to plug a 0 in where the d is. Negative 2t plus 28. And solve. So minus 28. So I get negative 28 equals negative 2t. Divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. What's 28 divided by 2?
14.
So if I take the escalator, it takes 14 seconds, whereas the stairs take 16 seconds. So which one is faster? Escalator. Very good. Of course, if you run down the stairs or up the stairs, then you could be faster. All right, any questions on anything we did there? All right. Example 4 is just graphing again, so I'm going to skip that one because I think you guys get that just fine. Let's do example 5. We're going to discuss parallel lines. When you have lines that are parallel on a graph, it means they have the exact same what? What do you think? If I have a graph here, and I have a line there and a line there, and I know they're parallel, what do you think is identical?
What?
What do you think is identical between these two lines?
The bow.
Has the same slope.
Have the same slope, exactly. That's how you know they're parallel. They will have different y-intercepts because they will cross the y-intercept at a different place, but their slopes will be the same on parallel lines. So when you are being asked whether something is parallel, all you really have to do is find the slope. Whoa. So let's look at this graph and find the slope for each of these lines to determine which ones are parallel. Just kind of eyeballing and looking at them, do you think one of these is going to be not parallel?
Yeah.
Do you think you know which one?
Yeah.
All of them.
They look at first glance like they could all be parallel, but if you look closely, look how close the red is to the green versus the blue.
Awesome.
So the red line to me looks skewy. But mathematically, let's find out.
Yeah, blue line's after it.
Let's see which two are parallel. So let's find the slope of the blue line. Now, on here we can either count it, or how else do you find the slope? Do you remember the equation? You can find the slope by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Oh yeah, I'm so confused.
Or we can just count it. So I can go up 1 over 1, 2, 3. So the slope of the blue line is 1/3. Slope of the red line goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 over 5. Slope of the green line is 1, 2, 6, 2 over 6. Can I reduce 2 over 6?
1/3.
1/3. So which two lines are parallel?
A and C.
A and C. Comprende? Now if they didn't give you the graphs and all they did was give you these points, could you still solve it? Yeah. You just got to do it mathematically and use the formula. Or you could graph it and count them. All right, any questions on finding parallel slopes, parallel lines? All your assignment is numbers 11 through 29, odds. Please show your work. The first section is actually you're just telling me what the slope and the y-intercept is. So the only work you have to show me is if you have to solve it for slope-intercept form.
Do we need graph paper?
For the second half of the assignment, you are going to be graphing. That's it.